So let's talk about Cambridge. Most of us probably picture those perfect postcards, you know? Pristine college lawns, people punting on the river. But we're going to go way beyond that image. Because this is also a city of rebellion, of some really bizarre secrets, and a place where ideas were born that have literally re-engineered our world.
Okay, this sounds like the beginning of a very strange joke, right? The rules of football, the first ever webcam, and the law of gravity. What on earth could possibly connect those three things? They're separated by centuries and seem to have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And yet, they all share one single point of origin.
You guessed it, they were all born right here, in Cambridge. We're talking about a pretty small city, historically kind of cut off from everything by marshy fenland. But somehow, it's had this ridiculously huge impact on human history. So let's dig in and figure out how this place became such an accidental powerhouse of secrets and discovery.
All right, first things first, we have got to peel back the layers of legend that cover this city. Because in Cambridge, you'll find that the truth is often way stranger and, honestly, a lot more interesting than the myths everyone loves to believe.
And this bridge is the perfect example. The legend of the mathematical bridge is just beautiful. Sir Isaac Newton, in a flash of genius, designs a bridge held together by pure physics. No nails, no bolts. The reality? Well, he'd been dead for 22 years when it was built, and it was always held together with big all-iron bolts. It just goes to show you, even the debunked myths tell you something about the city's reputation for almost magical brain power.
And it isn't just about bridges. The ancient college walls themselves, they are just filled with stories of tragedy, the supernatural, a reflection of centuries of intense pressure and human drama.
Seriously, the colleges are practically crawling with ghosts. Over at Corpus Christi, a master from the Plague era was apparently so troublesome that his ghost needed an exorcism in 1904. And then at Peterhouse, they had to call in an exorcist in 1997 for another spirit. It's a powerful reminder that these aren't just quiet places of learning. They're containers for some really intense human stories, and some of them just refuse to end.
You know, Cambridge has even shaped the way we speak. The phrase Hobson's choice sounds so profound, right? But it actually comes from this stubbornly practical Cambridge stable owner. Thomas Hobson had one simple rule. You take the horse that's nearest the door, or you get no horse at all. It's such a perfect Cambridge story, a world-famous idea that has these incredibly ordinary local roots.
And that amazing blend of genius and pure practicality, it continues right up into the modern age. The world's first webcam wasn't invented to observe a supernova or anything grand like that. Nope, it was built in 1991 by a bunch of tired computer scientists for one reason and one reason only, to save themselves from walking down the corridor to see if the coffee pot was empty. That's high-tech innovation driven by the most relatable problem you can possibly imagine.
But of course, Cambridge isn't all about quirky inventions and ghost stories. It's really about the people. And when you look past the famous names etched in stone, you find these incredible, complicated stories of struggle, of injustice, and of profound humanity.
I mean, think about Isaac Newton. We see him as this giant of science, but he arrived at Cambridge as a subsizer, basically a servant student who had to do chores for the richer kids. Alan Turing, the man who helped create the modern world and saved countless lives, was persecuted by the very state he helped protect. And Rosalind Franklin, her crucial data was the key to discovering DNA, but her contribution was overlooked for decades. These weren't just abstract geniuses, they were real, complex people who often fought against the very systems that now celebrate them.
Now, speaking of that intellectual firepower, let's just take a look at the numbers for a second, because they are genuinely staggering. More than 120 Nobel Prize winners are connected with Cambridge. That is just an unbelievable concentration of world-changing achievement in one little city.
But let's zoom in even further. Just one of its many colleges, Trinity College, is responsible for 34 of those Nobel laureates. Just think about that for a second. 34 from one college.
And to put that number into perspective, a single Cambridge college has produced more Nobel Prize winners than the entire country of France. Let me say that again, more than all of France. It is, without a doubt, one of the most academically successful square miles on the entire planet.
But all of this genius, all of this privilege, it existed right alongside a very, very different Cambridge. For centuries, the city was defined by a deep and often pretty violent conflict between the university scholars, the gown, and the local townspeople, the town.
So what was the problem? Well, it was rooted in special privileges. The university was basically its own little kingdom, exempt from local laws and taxes. You can imagine how that went over.
Resentment just built and built until it finally exploded in 1381. Townspeople rioted, they attacked colleges, they burned university records. In the end, the university won, and that power imbalance would define life in Cambridge for the next 600 years.
And this divide wasn't just social, it had a real physical impact. While students lived this protected life inside college walls, the working people of the town were crammed into slums. Archaeologists have studied skeletons from local cemeteries, and the results are just brutal. The bones of ordinary townspeople show that a staggering 44% of them had suffered fractures from a life of hard labor. It was, quite literally, a tale of two cities.
So, you've got this strange, intense mix, right? Extreme privilege, ghostly legends, centuries of social conflict, and these incredible flashes of world-altering genius. How on earth did this unique pressure cooker of a city manage to shape our modern world so profoundly?
Well, just think about the sheer impact. A bunch of students scribble down some rules on a park, and in doing so, they create the world's most popular sport. From his quiet rooms at Trinity, Isaac Newton defines the very laws of the universe. Centuries later, the code of life itself, DNA, is cracked right here. And not too long after that, a simple gadget to watch a coffee pot helps kick off the entire visual language of our digital age. 4 world-changing moments, all from this one small city.
From Roman forts and Viking raiders to DNA labs and AI startups, Cambridge has always been a place of hidden depths and completely unexpected revolutions. It really forces us to ask, in a city that has spent a millennium creating secrets and then, one by one, revealing them to the world, what discovery is brewing there right now?